When all else fails, call on one TJ Watt to make the big play at the big time. That's exactly what happened tonight in the Steelers' 26-18 win on Monday Night Football against the New York Giants. TJ Watt once again comes up with a big play at a big time to get the Steelers back on track. It is the Steeler postgame show, sponsored by Shenarovich and Fishman. I am your host, Ed Troop. Glad you could join us here on Oneberg tonight, where the NFL Week 8 season, of course, the week 8 of the NFL season, I should say, is now officially in the books here on Monday Night Football, as the Pittsburgh Steelers get the 6-2 at the bye week with a big 26-18 win against the New York Giants. And as we just said, the Giants were driving late in this game. TJ Watt, a tackle for loss in the backfield. And then on the very next play, a strip and sack on Daniel Jones. He gets the recovery with 2:59 left. It was the 22nd strip sack in TJ Watt's career, his second sack of the game. And ultimately, that put the Steelers in the driving seat late in the game. The Giants had one last chance late in the fourth quarter, just under 34 seconds left to be exact. Beanie Bishop, his third interception in the last 2 weeks, seals the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight as they come up with the big 26-18 win, as we said, and they're now 6-2 at the bye week. My partner, Brian, hopefully going to be joining me here shortly here on Oneberg on the postgame show. We welcome your comments here on Oneberg as well. The Steelers had a great opening drive tonight. Dominant run game with Najee Harris to open things up. They had a touchdown pass to George Pickens to open up the game, but it was called back due to a Broderick Jones face mask call. The Steelers had to settle for a field goal and led 3-0 early on. The Giants, on their first offensive possession, move right down the football field. They have to settle for a field goal as well to make it a 3-3 game early on. And then the Steelers' next drive, they go right down the field again. But once again, it sizzles out inside the 10-yard line, and they had to settle for a field goal to take a 6-3 lead. This game was a battle of field goals early on between the two teams as both offenses looked to get in a rhythm. And again, coming into this game, the Giants' defense was definitely their strength, and that played out here early on in this game. The Giants, the offense, though, was able to move the ball very effectively, especially with Tyrone Tracy, the rookie running back out of Purdue, had a big night tonight, over 140 yards rushing. The Steelers had issues trying to stop Tracy all night long. And Tracy, once again, took them downfield. They convert on a 4th and 2 on the next offensive drive. They also had a touchdown called back to a penalty. They had to settle for a field goal, and it was 6-6 in the second quarter. Steelers' third offensive possession of the game, Wilson hits Pickens on another touchdown, but it's called back as it's out of bounds. There was a challenge by Mike Tomlin on that play, but you're not allowed to challenge a call that was already reviewed by the instant replay department, and that cost them a second timeout. The Steelers settled for a field goal. They took a 9-6 lead with 8:15 left in the second quarter. Jones had a rough night, Broderick Jones did. He was beat for another sack and a loss on the next play. Not a good night. 3 times, actually, in the first half, he was beat badly, including the face mask call that got the Pickens touchdown called back as well. Giants, 2 minutes before halftime, they go right down the field again on the Steelers defense. They get a field goal, and we were tied up at 9-9 at halftime. And again, the Giants, very effective on offense. Daniel Jones, who has struggled through most of his career, at times looked pretty on point tonight, hitting a lot of different receivers. And again, Tyrone Tracy, the talented running back, a big night tonight for the Giants. I thought the turning point in the football game came in the second half. Shortly after halftime, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith back-to-back sacks after the Giants went past midfield on their first second half offensive possession, and they were looking to possibly, again, just use that running game with Tyrone Tracy and Daniel Jones making plays at the quarterback position. But TJ Watt comes through with a sack, and Alex Highsmith, who had a big game tonight too, comes up with another sack. The Steelers force the Giants to punt on that opening possession in the second half. Alex Highsmith got his second sack on the next Giants offensive possession after the Steelers had gone 3 and out. And how about Calvin Austin, a 73-yard punt return for a touchdown. The Steelers took a 16-9 lead in the third quarter with 4:38 remaining. At that point, Calvin Austin, the big special teams play, and the Steelers special teams over the last few weeks has been huge. And it was again tonight. Danny Smith's squad once again coming up with big plays, and it was the big punt return by Calvin Austin that gave the Steelers that 16-9 lead, the first touchdown of the night with 4:38 left in the third quarter. But again, the turning point, I thought, in the game came on the previous Giants offensive possession, in which T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith had back-to-back sacks to force a punt at midfield to start off the second half. Austin then gets his second touchdown of the game from Russell Wilson, gives him a 23-9 lead the fourth quarter. Austin, a great catch. Russell Wilson, another really strong throw. And then the Steelers play Renegade, which usually leads to good things on defense, but it did not in this situation. The Giants offense, after Renegade is played at Acrisure Stadium, they march right down the field. Tracy, a touchdown run. Again, Tyrone Tracy, very effective tonight, a touchdown. And they go for two at that point to the Giants. They missed the 2-point conversion, so that holds them to a 23-15 lead in the fourth quarter with 11:07 left in the game. The Steelers taking 26-15 lead with 8:15 left on another Chris Boswell field goal. But the Giants, another field goal to pull 26-18 with 5:06 left. Again, they exchanged field goals there late in the game. But Wilson fumbles with 4:30 left in the game. And that's when Steeler Nation got a little bit nervous. And as I said, I'm show here as Brian joins us here on the Shenderovich and Fishman postgame show. Hello, Brian. Good evening to you. And
hi, Ed.
As we started the show, Brian, and that leads me up to the game summary that we're going through right now. The big play by T.J. Watt, a tackle for loss, and then the very next play comes through with a strip sack, the recovery with 2:59 left, his 22nd strip sack of his career, and that ultimately put the Steelers in the driving seat late in the game.
Yeah, that was a nail-biter, man, right? Like, you have to say it wasn't the most exciting game we've ever seen. It was more like Monday Night Football was more like Monday Night Foot. But we started to pick it up. Second half, Russ came in strong. But, yeah, never really could put those Giants out of the way. Never felt good until the final buzzer blew.
And then Beanie Bishop, his third interception in the last 2 weeks. He had 2 against the Jets last week. We talked about that a lot with Beanie Bishop. The slot corner for the Steelers, the rookie out of West Virginia, comes up with the big interception of Daniel Jones with just 34 seconds left in the game. The Steelers, their 22nd straight win at home on Monday Night Football as they get the 26-18 win to get to 6-2 going into the bye week, Brian. And you mentioned it, nervous at times. And I hate to say it, but it almost reminded me of what we've seen by some of these Steeler teams in the past, games in which they should win. They have to win. They go in thinking they're going to win big, 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then they struggle. And ultimately, a lot of times they lose those games. Remember last year when they had that stretch against the Patriots came in here on a Sunday night and beat the Steelers. The Cardinals came in here and beat the Steelers. They went through a rough time last year against teams they were supposed to beat, but this is a different team here in 2024. They're 6-2 going into the bye.
Yeah, I fully was prepared to see us lose tonight, weren't you? I mean, there were so many cracks in that door left wide open, and man, New York kept pushing and pushing, but hey, give it to TJ Watt, man. When we needed that moment, he got it. So we'll take it. It's a moment we're looking for from Watt every week, and if he doesn't deliver it, we think something's wrong, or we blame him for not being out of this world. Tonight he was out of this world. He's held every play, there's no doubt about it, and now he came through and made the big strip that we needed, and it still wasn't even over after they did that. So great win, and last year that was a game that we would find 5 different ways to lose.
Right, absolutely, and at times, like I said, especially after it was 9-9 at halftime, there were different parts of this game where you thought, here we go again. We're going to lose to a team we should not lose to. They have a chance to go to first place in the AFC North after the Ravens and the Bengals both lost yesterday, and it's not going to happen. They're going to go 5-3 at the break, and we're going to spend the next 2 weeks diving into what could have been, but that's not the case. The Steelers hold on with that big play by T.J. Watt. Russell Wilson.
We need all the buffer we can get, right? I mean, so we're going to go into the bye week, which we need. Maybe we have Cam Sutton is going to return now after his. So he started practicing, I think, on Wednesday, which will be great. So we're going to get a boost there. But man, we need all the buffer we can get, starting with Washington, Philly, Baltimore, and then Taylor Swift on Christmas. Dude, we're gonna be in for like some serious fights going forward. And no one wants to talk about this, but we easily could be humbled back to 500 really quick against some really good teams. So let's take the victory tonight and take the bye week and take this buffer.
The first of which will come out of the bye week on November 10th. That's the Steelers' next game, in which they'll go to Washington to play a Commanders team that is also 6-2 so far this season and has completely surprised the NFL. Beginning of the season, that looked like a game in which, the Steelers are going to be favored. You're not really that concerned about the Commanders with a rookie quarterback. Well, now you have a lot to be concerned about. They get the Hail Mary win against the Bears yesterday. Amazing ending to that game. But that's going to be a very challenging game at Washington coming out of the bye week in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you wonder what's going to happen, right? So Russell Wilson, who now again, he received high praise from the broadcasting crew tonight, and deservingly so. He's looked good in 2 games, but he geared up for this. So, you want Russ to have a little bit of rhythm. Or will Mike Tomlin, Ed, in the spirit of you never know what you're going to get from Coach Mike, could he find Justin Fields as the answer to come into Washington to find a new rhythm? There are a lot of questions that kind of go into this break, and it'll be interesting. That bye week is why you do need it for physical relief, right? It does mentally play on you a little bit, and do you not want to see Russ get rusty?
Russell Wilson, 20 of 28 for 278 yards, touchdown, no interceptions again. Another solid game by Russ, especially in that second half. That's back-to-back games in which he's thrown over 250 yards and he's thrown the ball downfield. And back-to-back games in which Najee Harris over 100 yards. Again tonight, 19 carries, 114 yards. George Pickens, 4 catches for 74 yards. Van Jefferson, 4 catches for 62 yards. And Calvin Austin, 3 catches, 54 yards, that touchdown in the air, and, of course, the big punt return of 73 yards for the Steelers offensively.
Yeah, we almost got 3 from Austin 3. It was going to be Calvin Austin 3 for 3. By the way, Ed, you look tired, and, you've lost a little bit of weight. You got those glasses. You look like James Carville.
James,
people might come in here and be like, oh, Carville. Now, James is almost 84 years old, but it is late. It is late.
Well, I have gotten Scott Van Pelt. I've gotten Scott Van Pelt a few times with the bald head and the glasses when I've had the glasses on, who was on ESPN tonight with the coverage of Monday Night Football. But really? I think I'd have to have the suit on.
You look like Van Pelt? No.
I've gotten that a handful of times with the glass. I think it's just the dark glasses and the bald head. But James Carville, that's a first for the Democratic strategist. So,
well, I'm not sure it's a compliment, and I love you. And you're
it's not a compliment.
Men alive. You're one of the sexiest men alive, in my opinion. But yeah, you got this Carville vibe tonight. Everyone watching, let us know if you think Ed looks like James Carville tonight.
And I'm not getting political on that. I'm just saying I will not take that as a compliment. So, hey, let's get this.
80, you're 40.
Exactly. That's the first thing that stands out. Hey, James checks in and says, hey, Ed and Brian, great game, but what's up with this D? Not good. Gave up way too many yards. Derrick Henry will run the ball all over this defense. James brings up a good point. For the night, for the Giants, we talked about Tyrone Tracy, the rookie out of Purdue, 20 carries, 145 yards tonight, and a touchdown, averaged 7.3 yards per rush. That is not good news for Steelers. They've been very good against a run defense so far this year, Brian, but not tonight against this Tracy, this rookie for the Giants. He had a big night.
I don't disagree with James. James is one of the great minds of sports, as we know. Wyatt says, let's go, baby. But I will say that our defense is soft. I mean, as it gets further away from the quarterback, I think Joey Porter's soft. I think Patrick Queen seems soft. I know that we have Beanie Baby going back there, but I mean, he shouldn't be a star in this defense. So I agree with him. I think our D does look a little bit soft. What do you think, James?
Well, we have a couple of different comments come in. Michael says, great win. Get rid of Broderick Jones. Brian, what did you think of Broderick Jones tonight? I think you were just checking in when I was going over some of his stats and what he was able to do. He got that face mask call in the opening drive, which really killed the Steelers' momentum. They had a lot of momentum early on in that first drive. The face mask call brings that touchdown back, but Jones got beat several times tonight. He continues to struggle on that offensive line.
Well, Jones looks like a step behind, right? And so Here's the problem, and maybe that doesn't hurt a normal team, but I still feel like George Pickens is so fragile. And so don't you want you need Pickens to get part of this offense in like a really big celebratory way? Pickens could, I shouldn't say should, he could have had 3 touchdowns tonight. Jones with that face mask. The second call when Pickens couldn't get his right foot in, but he got his left in twice. And then he had that pass from Wilson in the fourth quarter where he kind of fell out of bounds, but if he made a cut, he would go. So, yeah, Jones is part of the Pickens debacle and problem. So, as Yusuf says, great win, 6-2. I agree, Yusuf. But yeah, Broderick, man, he's adding to that dilemma of what do we do with George Pickens.
Alan checks in and says, why didn't we take care of number 1? I'm guessing he's referring to Malik Neighbors, who wears number 1 for the New York Giants tonight. I'm guessing that's who number 1 would be. He has had a sensational season, has the rookie out of LSU at the wide receiver position. Tonight, the Steelers held him to 7 catches for 71 yards. It was Darius Slayton who had the big game from a receiver standpoint, 4 catches, 108 yards. And Daniel Jones for the game, 24 of 38, 264 yards in that interception. That's again, the Steelers defense, they bend, but they don't break at critical times here tonight. You're throwing me off. See, I got the ADHD, OCD, something going on there with the head nod that you're doing. I'm going to go offsides. There's a lot of offside calls that get called whenever you see the head bob on the offensive line. I'm now offsides as I get distracted by you, my friend. But
I have breaking news.
Yes, sir.
And I know you said you don't want to get political, but everyone's like, James is listening, and Alan and Yusuf. This is political. I know you don't want to go political, Ed, but the wrestler Mankind went to Twitter tonight. He just endorsed Kamala Harris. That's right, everybody. Mankind. Now, we don't know what Dude Love thinks. And we don't know what Cactus Jack thinks, but Mankind endorses Kamala Harris. That's big news. Ed, your thoughts?
Hey, you got to get in today's political climate, you got to get every endorsement you can get, even if it is from the great Mick Foley.
Have a nice day.
James says softer schedule to start the year. You hit it on the head with the second half and far better competition. Hopefully they play up to their competition, James said.
We're going to lose to the Eagles, Ed. Historically, we go to Philadelphia and we turn in our ass, right? So, going to see the NFC East, could we be, we survived tonight, but could the East take 3 or 4 from Pittsburgh? We lost to Dallas, and we beat the Giants, and now here we go. Commanders, the Redskins, the Washington football team, whoever, and then we're going to see the Eagles. I think we split that 1-1, and if we do, I think that's a big victory for Tomlin and the Steelers to get out of that 1-1.
Well, here's the Steelers' remaining schedule. In 2 weeks, they pick it up at the Commanders. Keep track of me, Brian, as I go through this. I'm going to say a loss there. They host the Ravens. I'm going to say a win. So you're 1-1. You go to Cleveland. I'm going to say that's a win. You go to the Bengals. Here's the thing. They're not going to win in Cleveland and Cincinnati. They're going to drop one of those two. I don't know which one it'll be. It could be the Browns, actually. I could actually see the Steelers losing in Cleveland and then winning in Cincinnati and splitting.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep track of this score. You had me put my fingers up to give you the scores. Just
2-2. 2-2.
Okay.
2-2. Okay. And then you host the Browns, in which I think they win at home. So now they're 3-2. You go to Philly, you lose. You're now 3-3 here in the second half. You host you go to Baltimore, and I'm going to go with a loss at Baltimore. So now you're 3-4 second half of the schedule.
Oh my God.
You host the Chiefs on Christmas Day. I'm going to say a win. You're going to beat the Chiefs at home on Christmas Day. There you go. And then you finish up against the Bengals at home and you get a win there. So that's 5.
5-4.
So 5 and 6 is 11. That gets them to 11 wins to finish up the season. And that definitely puts them in the conversation to win the AFC North and possibly get a home game for their first playoff game. That's my prediction right now as we sit. I think they get to at the beginning of the season, I said 10 wins. So now I'm going to go to 11. with the
What would
6-2
make you
start.
think we're going to upset Kansas City on Christmas? They've had a great season. Mahomes
Well,
looks funny. Now, I will say this, that they have been, like my son says, they're one play away in every game
yeah.
to being like a 500 squad. I agree with you, but they still find a way to do it. But maybe again, man, this is our year that we find the way, and it looks like so far we have. The only game we haven't legitimately found the way was we couldn't find a way in Indianapolis to win that game. All the other ones kind of went down because we went down. The only game was Indianapolis we couldn't find our way.
Well, Dallas too at home. I mean, that was a game in which. Well, I see what you're saying. Indianapolis didn't find our way, but against Dallas at home, I think that's a game in which they should have won.
Okay,
James
and I
says,
agree with you, but don't you think Mahomes is going to win that same game if it goes that way? Prescott did.
"Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to bet against Mahomes and the Chiefs, especially right now." But I agree with your son.
You know, you see all those Kermits yesterday in Las Vegas?
Yes, I did.
I
So
love that. I wonder if that, like, Mahomes cares. I mean, I know he's so rich and that wife's hot and life's so good, but he's got to see that Kermit the Frog and just be like, screw you guys. Or
James's
maybe he's
prediction.
like, screw those guys. Hey-o.
James's predictions is lose to Washington, beat the Eagles, split with Cincinnati and Baltimore, 2 Cleveland games. I think they upset Kansas City at home on Christmas as well. So James is with me with beating Kansas City at home. You know, one thing is, man, it's hard to predict any games at any point because of injuries and momentum in a season and everything else. I mean, who knows? You get to that Christmas Day game, you know,
Both
Mahomes
teams
could
could
be
be
out.
out with that team.
Exactly.
Well,
So you
and
just
that's why I want to take at least 2 games at a time. I think as we return to play the Commanders and then Baltimore, I think we need to split those games to start. I think winning against the Commanders is very important because now all eyes will be on Pittsburgh's second half of the season. And I think if you come out and you get slaughtered by the Commanders, there's just going to be so many questions, so many problems going into Ravens week. I think then, you know, Tomlin has a unique way of creating a quarterback controversy for himself. And I think it's off the rails for all the momentum we have right now. That game in Washington is so big.
That's definitely going to be their biggest test of the season so far, don't you think? I mean, no doubt about it. The Commanders and Jaden Daniels, their rookie quarterback, he's just having an outstanding. He's having a rookie of the year type of season so far for the Commanders. That's going to be a huge challenge for the Black and Gold in 2 weeks. The only good news, Brian, for that is they have 2 weeks to get ready for that game. So you know you're not playing a Monday night game on a short week, coming back next weekend.
Yeah.
Having to
But
turn around.
besides Sutton, though, is there anybody that we can predict that will return after maybe these 2 weeks? Have you heard anything?
Cordella Patterson, the running back, I think they should probably get him back by that point. There's a good chance they can get Nick Herbig back. They can get healthy. They can get very, very healthy by that point. In their season. Justin Fields, tweaked a hamstring apparently in the last couple of days. How about that? He was the 3rd emergency quarterback tonight. Frazier, James says Frazier could be another one that could possibly come back to center as well 2 weeks from now. Good call, James. How about that? Did you happen to see Justin Fields tweaked his hamstring or something happened with his hamstring in practice the last couple of days, and he was the 3rd emergency quarterback tonight. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I mean, I
Where'd
guess
that come from?
you don't see anything about Fields. I mean, the only thing you hear is that the sideline reporter briefly spoke with Fields, and he's supportive of Wilson. And those guys seem to have that routine down pretty clean, right? That seems like 2 guys who are not going to bash each other or get into any kind of like National Enquirer moment where they are trying to out one another, which is really positive. Other than that, I'm not sure. The big question, though, is Fields may be, and I know he's a backup quarterback, and it's midnight, so why don't we have some fun? Do you see a role for Fields in the second half of the season that's not quarterback?
Like Cordell Stewart / right? Is that what you're saying?
Could you see him come out as a wide receiver? Could you see him come into the Wildcat? Yes. Could you see him return punts? Could you see him go out there in a weird setup where he's the back end of a T, where you just force a team to take a timeout? Andy Reid's taking a timeout as soon as he sees Justin Fields come on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's something they talked about even this past week that apparently, and that's why when this hamstring injury came up today, and they were, talking about Fields being out, that there was some rumors in and around that they were going to use him in some different red zone packages tonight, and they were going to work him in a little bit as a more slash type player, but that obviously didn't happen with the injury that happened. James checks in again. He says, I think they have to get another receiver if we stand at any chance of going deep in the playoffs one more week. Who knows, James? The November, what is it? November 6th. I was going to say November 5th. That's Election Day. A week from today now. It's now midnight. It's now officially the 29th. So we're now a week away from Election Day, Brian.
One week is on CNN talking about.
He is.
Mankind, Dude Love, is on CNN right now talking about supporting Kamala. Hulk Hogan was at Madison Square Garden on Saturday or Sunday supporting Trump. What in the hell is going on?
Yeah, either side.
What are we doing? What is happening?
Either side that you're on, it doesn't matter. What is happening?
By the way, one more other question before we get back to James's comment is James wearing an ascot in that photo? He's got like a blue button-down shirt. He's got like a little hat with the fold in it. Does he have an ascot on it?
He might. That's a good-looking profile pic for James.
It really is. James is very debonair.
He looks
Hats
very
off
good.
to you, James.
Hey, Brian, how about this? Tonight, we talked about the Steelers having penalty problems throughout this season. Only 5 for 50 tonight, but how about the Giants? 11 penalties for 65 yards. And some costly penalties, too, at different times. I mean, they had one touchdown, as did the Steelers, that got called back due to a penalty. They had a couple other crucial penalties throughout that game, especially in that first half. That cost them first down yardage several times. 11 penalties for 65 yards tonight for the Giants. And that's what bad football teams do, right? They make a lot of costly mistakes and make a lot of penalties, and that certainly happened to the Giants tonight.
Well, how about Austin III's punt return, right? And so that flag came out instantly. You didn't see Danny Smith doing his Danny Smith jump up and down, going crazy kind of thing. And I thought he was holding his breath. And again, here we go, another Giants penalty. And not that would have taken anything back or changed anything, but adding insult to injury. The one time, and normally you see a flag thrown on the receiving end, the Giants did it again. Yeah, their touchdown gets called back. Austin III's punt return is confirmed. It's just comedy of errors, and we've been there.
The Giants, the time of possession was just about even tonight. Giants had 30 minutes and 42 seconds. The Steelers had 29 minutes, 18 seconds. First down, Steelers 20 to the Giants 17. Total yards, the Steelers 426 total offensive yards tonight. Wow. But they gave up 394 to the Giants. So the Giants, a total of 394 offensive yards.
Well, and here's the difference, right? We talk about Christmas Day. I know you and James are going to be opening and exchanging gifts together, and you think the one gift is going to be an upset for the Steelers. You think Mahomes throws for 400 yards and doesn't score more than less than 3 touchdowns against us? There's no chance in hell that Mahomes will be kept out of the end zone the way we kept Daniel, whatever his name was, out.
Daniel Jones kept out 3 times tonight. The Giants were 0 for 3 in the red zone, but the Pittsburgh Steelers were 0 for 4 in the red zone tonight.
Let's talk about those miracles again. You think Lamar Jackson in the red zone 3 times is going to not score 3 times? He's scoring at least twice. Mahomes might score every time. And so if we're knocked out, I know it's the Wizard of Boz, and Boswell's foot is gold. Boswell's toe can't keep up with Mahomes, can't keep up with the Eagles, can't keep up with the Commanders. These high-scoring teams, man, there's just no way. And so back to the beginning comment of like our D, everything is in question of how we score points, including I know Boswell's going to the Pro Bowl. I don't think Pro Bowl field goal kickers also attend the Super Bowl. Just putting it out there.
James checks in. Were you guys at the game with a question mark? I saw Barry Bonds. James, One gets 1 press pass for the game, and Barry Bonds always takes it. So Barry Bonds was in the press box. Brian and I were at home watching.
No, Bonds was there tonight. I drove him around on the log jammer.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. No, James is saying, were you guys at the – so I guess you were technically at the game. You were there driving him around.
Here's the behind the scenes. I pick up Barry Bonds. Well, Mike and I, Mike is the keeper of the log jammer. Him and I drive. We pick up Barry. We get to the stadium like around 6. We drive around for an hour, wave to everybody, and then we drive around the stadium. People get pictures. We get caught in traffic. Tonight we wore Trump and Kamala masks and waved to people. And then I'm on my couch by 7:45, which is amazing. God bless Pittsburgh, man. It's one of the few cities I think you can get in and deal with all that traffic and still get home for the game.
Well, you did that last time, last Sunday night against the Jets. You were at the game with your son, Cy, and you were actually on our post-game show. I was shocked. We weren't expecting to see you. And I think 10 minutes into our post-game show, you were on. So, man, you must know all those back roads out of AccuSure Stadium to get back out to the West Hills for you.
I do. But yeah, but I'm glad that James got to see Barry tonight. You know, Barry's popularity is picking up. He was in with Pompiani over the weekend on that commercial, which was exciting. He was at the game tonight. And it is funny now, as we drive the log jammer around, people scream things at Barry. We hear people screaming Barry Bonds at him, which is absolutely hilarious. And since James is talking about Barry and he's up late, the next sighting for Barry Bonds got confirmation that Barry is going to be appearing at Barry, Barry Bonds' house that he used to live in Moon.
Oh, wow.
So Barry Bonds is going to give us a tour of Barry Bonds' house.
Oh, man. Now, who currently lives there? Is it occupied?
Some lady that bought it from Bonds when he left here in 1993.
But she's letting the mascot Barry Bonds attend. Hey, Brian, that was a great day yesterday for us. Bob Pompiani and Richie Walsh from KDKA were very graciously enough to agree to meet us down at their studios yesterday. We had some fun with those guys, Barry Bonds. And, you know, I was excited because during the Steeler game, how about this? I emailed Pomp this morning. And I say, hey, I want you on the Three Rivers podcast here the next few weeks. There he is. There's the picture. Look at those guys. Look at those guys right there.
Now there's
That's the legend.
James Carville is on the far left. Rich Walsh with that hair from hell. Barry Bonds, and then, of course, the GOAT, Bob Pompiani.
The GOAT. Well, listen, here's why he's the GOAT. I sent him the email this morning. I go all day with no response. I said, Pump's, you know, he's blowing me off, right? He doesn't want to come on our podcast.
And I predicted yesterday when we left there that he was never going to come on.
During the Steeler game, during the actual Steeler game, he responds to my email and says, Ed, I'll get you some dates. We'll get it done. So Pomp will be on the Three Rivers podcast during the month of November. How about that? But how about this? The legend responds during the Steeler game.
That just tells me that it's automatic pilot for Pomp. That someone's writing those scripts for him. He knows what's going on. And hey, this is what you love to hear. Your legends and your heroes, they're just like you. Pomp is half looking at his phone and half watching the game, just like everybody else.
We welcome your comments here on Oneberg. It is the Shenderovich and Fishman Steeler postgame show here on Oneberg. Ed Troop and Brian Carruthers here with you. It is past midnight. We have a few more minutes with you before we wrap up week 8 in the NFL. The Steelers, a big 26-18 win on Monday Night Football. Brian, the Steelers, their 22nd straight win at home on Monday Night Football. You know, I went to my first Steeler game in 1990 at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Cortez Kennedy was the big defensive player for the Seattle Seahawks back then. But that's not the point of my story. My point of my story was the first ever primetime game I ever went to was in 1993. The Steelers at home at Three River Stadium against the Buffalo Bills and Jim Kelly, who were coming off a Super Bowl loss, but a Super Bowl trip. And that was the game, I don't know if you remember, which Rod Woodson had a big interception return for a touchdown in that game. That was one of the best football games I've ever been to. We were 13 years old at the time, and there's nothing like going to see a Steeler game at home on Monday Night Football, and it was certainly exciting again at AccuSure Stadium tonight. Their 22nd straight win at home on Monday night.
I agree with you, man. Until I think I turned like 35 or 40 years old. Sunday night is now the most undeniable night for football. Monday, I think for us old geezers, it's too much. Well, it's too much. Daddy's tired. I was with the log jammer today. Barry and James, of course, was there. Daddy's tired.
Well, it's interesting you say that because my oldest son Rhino, he stayed up and watched the whole Sunday night game against the Jets, and then tonight he bailed out at halftime on me and says, "Dad, I'm too tired." And I think it's because he was up. He already put in a full day. He was up early this morning, went to school. Where Sunday night you have the whole weekend. You have all the momentum of the weekend. Yes. So I agree with you, man. Sunday night is when it's at. I even felt like I had more energy that Sunday night than I do now.
Well, just to tell you, and James can tell you because he was down there and he saw Barry Bonds. While there did look on TV, it was a full house, of course. The parking lots weren't that full even an hour before game time, and I think people don't tailgate all day the way that they do for Sunday night and of course for Sunday afternoon. But I thought the crowd looked amped up, man. I mean, even if it's not Monday Night Football, is going to do their best to make it look as phenomenal and fantastic as possible.
Well, I've noticed now the new trend on these nationally televised games is during the fourth quarter when Renegades played, they come back from commercial break and the announcers don't say anything. They let it go a full minute and a half, and you just hear the music and the terrible towels, which is a really cool scene. But I just kind of giggle every time I see it because it's like the national TV showing off Renegade. It's Renegade here in Pittsburgh, one of the best scenes in the NFL. Boy, the crowd really gets hyped up, Jim. You know, it's just, I don't know. To me, it's cheesy.
Oh wait, you feel like there's some serious cheese going on. It's funny. It's funny. We separate a little bit because you are all Steeler, you're all heart, you're all soul, and I'm always accused of being a curmudgeon and like anti everything and just whatever. Being there last Sunday with my son, dude, Renegade's undeniable in person. Undeniable.
No, so let me stand corrected. I love Renegade at the Steeler games, and I love the idea behind it. I'm talking about the national TV audience coming back from commercial break and then like letting it go a minute and a half, and then talking about how it's it's Renegade in Pittsburgh and the crowd is really amped up. To me, that's the cheese part, is how it's showcased on national TV. But it's cool though. Yeah, awesome moment. And it's funny because that started back in 2002. So that's been 22 years now. They've been playing Renegade at Steeler games, and it usually results in a big play by the defense or special teams on the next play. Tonight it didn't. After they played Renegade, that's when the Giants got their only touchdown of the game, in which Tracy broke it for a touchdown. That was right after Renegade.
Let me ask you a question. If they were going to say, hey, we're no longer, Styx has sued us, they don't want us to use Renegade anymore, what song would you – I know you're not – I know where you go with a lot of your music. If you could replace Renegade with one song, what would it be?
Well, they already play this during the Steeler pregame, I believe. I haven't been to a game yet this year. Maybe you could confirm because you were there. But AC/DC, Hell's Bells is a great song. That's what I would replace it with.
The beauty of Renegade, though, is that no one saw it coming, right? It's such an obscure – even Styx didn't even play it at their concerts. Now I see James just said Enter Sandman. Not going to work. Mariano Rivera owns Enter Sandman.
And Virginia Tech.
Until we die.
And Virginia Tech,
yes.
Yeah, which is a great scene.
Pitt stole Sweet Caroline from Boston, the Red Sox. Correct. So it's very difficult. The beauty of Renegade is a lot of people hear that song and go, I've never heard this song before. So, and again, Styx and Shaw and all those guys, they never played. Renegade wasn't even a hit for them. And so, there we go.
No,
that's what makes the beauty of it.
It sure wasn't. If you get a chance, there's an NFL Films 10-minute documentary on how Renegade became Renegade with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the guy that works in the production at Acrisure Stadium. It's a really cool piece. If you get a chance, Google it, look it up on YouTube. It's worth the watch. Brian, at 26-18, Steelers now 6-2. We will not be on next week. We have our bye week, but we will be on after the Commanders game. We do have the Three Rivers podcast the next couple of weeks that we're going to pomp on, as I said, at some point during the month of November. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. So we're going to turn this. In 9 hours, we're going to turn this ship around very quickly. The Three Rivers podcast will be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Mike White from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will be joining me to talk WPIL high school football playoffs.
Wow. Now there's a guy who knows everything, right? I mean, when you think high school football in Pittsburgh, Mike White, I might wake up early and join you to talk to the great one. Although here's the thing, and I think a lot of people will agree. I generally ruin the shows that I'm on. And that's whether I don't stay focused, whether I don't know what everybody's talking about, whether I have my own personal agenda. I ruin it. And I feel like Mike White, you guys talk, you talk to Don Rebel, even with Pomp, I just feel like I would ruin it for everybody, from the host, you, Ed, all the way down to producers, people who book these guests, the wives that lose time with their husbands, or the husbands that lose time with their wives, depending on who you invite, all the way down to the lowly listeners that we don't care about. They all feel like I've ruined this, so maybe I'll just stay out of your way.
Well, it's 9 hours, so if you want to go to sleep and then wake up and jump right back on here, well, I can't believe I scheduled that for after our Monday night football game that would be on till 12:15 at night for 9 a.m. the next morning.
What do you want to tell our listeners who we're having coffee with tomorrow?
Well, the Rob King too. We're gonna be touching base with him. He's got some exciting things going on too. So yeah, it's a full day tomorrow here on Oneberg. Though that won't be
how cool we are. And I don't want to brag, but listen,
that won't be broadcasted tomorrow though. So
I want to get a picture with King.
Sure.
Figure out what to do with that. But listen, this is how what a Yinzer 24 hours for your buddies Brian and Ed. We watch the Barry Bonds. We ride around.
That's right. With
Acrisure Stadium.
Well,
let's go all the way back.
Pomp yesterday morning.
Ed and I film a commercial with Bob Pompiani and Barry Bonds for Oneberg. Then we, I don't know, had a nice dinner. Then we watch Monday Night Football, and Barry goes around in the log jam where people wave and throw things at him and scream at him. Then we get the beauty of doing this show and talking to great people like James and all. Well, it looks like James is the only guy listening tonight, but that's okay. And then tomorrow we're going to have breakfast, coffee, with the play-by-play announcer for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How did we do this?
And the Post-Gazette WPIL beat writer. How about that in the morning?
This is this is pretty cool. I mean, this is as good as it gets.
It's a full day, man. It's a full day. It goes full circle. But with that,
boys, James just said breakfast with mankind. We should get mankind. Here's another thing. If I can, because here's why I'm not going to be on with Mike White. There's a lot of things on my mind right now.
This is the long Pittsburgh goodbye.
About how much money influencers and websites are getting from political candidates to just come on and just say, oh, Kamala worked at McDonald's, or Trump's going to deport people who break into the country. And influencers are getting millions of dollars. You know how much money Ed and I are getting to not talk about politicians? Have they not found us? Do they not want the mascot bear to endorse Tim Walz? Tim Walz doesn't want to talk about the bear? Millions.
I guess not. But the best news is, in 1 week from today, all these political ads will go away. Thank goodness.
Why don't you announce right now to everybody who you're voting for? Uh-oh.
Not going to go there. Not going to do it.
You know what?
Not going to do it.
Not going to do it at this juncture. Not going to do it.
Not going to do it.
You know why you shouldn't do it is because, do you ever remember, maybe, and I don't know if James is still watching, but do you ever remember growing up, and social media has ruined everything, but do you ever remember who, like, your neighbors or your school teachers were voting for? The answer is no. And it's because you didn't know. And there was a beauty to the magic of the election, of who you wanted to win, who you was. It was solemn. And now I think social media has ruined everything, where, like, I know who every teacher of my kids are voting for. I know who every neighbor's voting for. And it's almost like gross. And not that you don't want to support your candidate, but, like, maybe we don't need to know everybody's views out there.
Well, if you want to alienate yourself from a neighbor in your neighborhood, just put a political sign in your yard, because you'll do it one way or another. One way, especially in today's world where it's pretty much 50-50 split down the middle. You're gonna upset either half your neighbors in one way or another.
I agree. Came to my house the other day. Do you have commercials for Hadley Haas? Hadley Haas.
Those were heavy tonight. During the broadcast. Lots of commercials for her.
She came to my front door the other day.
Oh, wow. There you go.
I was on a work call, and my wife sends me a message. And as the doorbell's ringing, the other thing is our wives now know everything we do because of Ring. That's a whole different show. But I'm sitting there in my living room on a work call. The doorbell's ringing and my phone's now buzzing, and it's Marcy. And she's like, Hadley Haas, or is it Haley Haas or Hadley Haas?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't. No, her commercial was on 16 times tonight. You think I would have remembered?
Anyway, everybody knows from those commercials, like she's 4'11", she's adorable, but her values and her beliefs are going to bring Russia into the United States, and they're going to take over the White House because of Hadley Haas. Anyway, my wife sends me a message that says Hadley Haas is at the front door, and I was like, oh. So I was like, oh God, and so I unlocked the door, and I did the thing where I opened the door but kept my phone to my ear, and I opened the door, and she's lovely. And we look at each other, and I was like, can I help you? I'm on a call. And she goes, my name is Hadley Haas. I'm running for office. Just if I could just give you a little bit of info. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm on a work call. And she goes, can I just give you like a pamphlet? And I said, quickly, yes. And I said, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? And she goes, I'm a Democrat. I said, thank you very much. And I just took it, and then I shut the door on her. And then the next day, I see she's with Kerry Washington, the celebrity, the Hollywood actress. And I thought, well, where's Kerry Washington in my front yard? Now, there's somebody I would hang up and talk to.
I was going to say that would cause you to hang up. Hey, on that note, we're going to wrap it up here on the post game show. 26 to 18.
What was it? Something I said?
No, it's just we're now 46 minutes in. We only have like 6 viewers. So
I know, but look, Arlie's here.
He did check in. He said, gents, good AM. And he's right. It's 12:21 in the morning.
Where's he been? Arlie, we've been on for 45 minutes. Ed's ready to wrap it up.
We have. That's it. There's nothing else to talk about. We've gone through everything. We've gone through everything in this game. The Steelers now 6-2. The bye week. They will be back at it on November 10th when they go to the nation's capital, Washington. Well, I guess it's technically the Commanders. You lived in Washington. You did radio down there for a while. They're technically not in the nation's capital, right? They're out in Landover. Is it Landover?
Yeah, I think they're aren't they?
We were there. Remember, we went to
opening day there. What year? 6 years, 7 years ago.
2016, 2017, somewhere in there. It was, I think, 2016. They opened up there on Monday Night Football. That was the Antonio Brown when he scored. He do something like the Randy Moss with like his butt or something. I don't know. No, he twerked. He twerked.
The comments real fast. James just said, imagine all the good that could come with the coin spent on these annoying ads. You're right, James. And Ed's ready to go to bed. But I want to say that, you know how everybody throws away the stuff that comes in the mail that says, like, vote for Trump, vote for Kamala, vote for this guy, vote for Arlen Specter. All the people who keep all that stuff or throw it away. I keep it. I have it in a bin, and I'm thinking about filling up my bathtub with it and putting Barry Bonds in it.
Now there's an idea. Now there's an idea what you should go with. James says, let's go Pitt. You guys should go live after that game. Yeah, how about the Pitt Panthers? Brian and I are big Pitt Panther fans, man. We used to go to a lot of the games back in the day with his grandfather, who was a lifetime season ticket holder. Tradition unlike any other, if you will. We love Pitt football, and Pitt's in a great spot right now. What are they, 7-0 now? 8-0 or 7-0?
7-0, and I think what are they ranked 18th now?
18th now, and they got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up though. They got some tough games coming up. At SMU this week, that'll be a tough one on the road. And then Virginia at home. They got Clemson to still deal with. They got some challenging games, but if they're that good, they will get it done, as did the Steelers tonight. You like what I did there, bringing it all back in. Steelers.
You do not. Here's where Ed in his mind is like, in his mind, he's thinking, if I don't stop and take a breath, I can end this show. As long as I don't stop for an eighth of a second, and Brian interrupts, if I don't take a breath and just end, this show will end. But look, he stopped. And look, James said Clemson's coming up at home. I'll be at that Clemson game, James. Maybe we can have a drink. It seems like he's a guy who goes to a lot of the games.
I'll be at the Virginia game here in a couple weeks too. So I guess we'll have the next 2 Pitt home games represented here on Oneberg.
I just hope that, if I can just say quickly about Pitt, I just hope the weather tonight, when we had Barry in the log jammer, oh my God, Pittsburgh is like the new Bermuda. It is so nice out, and James was there, so he knows how great the weather was. How can these games at the end of October have such beautiful weather, and I just worry that as I'm going to go to see Pitt versus Clemson, I know it's going to be just a blizzard.
That game is in what, a few weeks? That's towards the end of November, huh? Towards the end, I think. I think is when that game goes down. So, James will be at the next Steeler game. Will be the Browns. So there you go.
Are we paying James for being part of this show? He really contributes a lot. It's almost like this is the Shenderovich and Fishman post-game show starring James and Brian and Ed read what he writes.
I think that's he's taking it over. He said in 3 weeks that game. That's when he'll be back.
I don't know what he's talking about now. See, it's funny. Behind the scenes, what we're looking at is Brian and Ed and what's live on the air. Underneath, I see what I look like, and then to the right-hand side, I see all the comments. All I see is comments from James Filbert. Just comment after comment. I have no idea what he's talking about. Now he did like a laugh emoji. Why? I have no idea. When did he do it? No clue.
He's been our main viewer tonight, that's for sure. We appreciate that. We needed it. That will do it for the Shenderovich and Fishman.
But wait a second. Arlie just said he'll be at the Philly game. Put that one up.
I hope I survive getting into the game. Yes, Philly could be a rough crowd, Arlie. You better be safe.
I was at the last time we played in Philly, and I'll never forget this. And Ed, as soon as I tell this story, go off the air. This is the longest goodbye of our career. But the last time we were in Philly, Pittsburgh was murdered. Yeah,
we never played good there. Never played good in Philly.
You know, and Pittsburgh shows up rowdy, right? We bring the towels, and Philly has a lot of pride in itself, too. Now, I do think they're scuzzy, but that's okay. They have their thing going on. As soon as that first touchdown, I think there was a fumble, and they scored, and then they scored again. This dude turned around like 5 rows in front of me, grabs a terrible towel, huge, big black guy, hilarious, grabs a terrible towel from like a lady next to him and starts rubbing his balls with it.
Oh, boy. Jeez. Well, the curse of the terrible towel.
He started doing the Chris Farley, like where he put it between his legs and started like rubbing. It was fantastic.
He might have lost everything downstairs after that. The curse of the terrible towel. That could have been the end of that. You know what I mean?
Wow. So you think maybe he has testicular cancer now?
Well, I didn't go that far. I hope not.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. I was just feeling out what you were trying to say, and that's not what you're saying.
Well, good luck to Arlie and be safe, man, when you head to Philly. That's for sure. But that's a great stadium, though. That's a good place to watch a game.
The Link.
Sure, so.
The Link.
Oh, he'll be in a private box, so he'll be okay. He'll be okay. There you go.
I'm going to leave you with this. Look at these.
There you go. Leave with that. Look at the two legends. One legend on the left, and there is another one on the right.
Ed was so happy to meet Pomp yesterday, and then all the guys got pictures together with the bear. And then Ed was like, "Oh, let me get on that." And then he's like, "Can the bear move out so it can just be me and Pomp?"
I did. We did. We got rid of the bear. I said we got one with Barry Bonds, and then we asked him to step aside because I just wanted one with Pomp.
No, we didn't ask him. You told him.
I asked him. I did. This is true. I will not deny that. I will not.
Look at Arlie bragging on the way out of here that he's going to be in a private box for the game.
Yes. Yeah, he'll be safe. So, we'd like to hear that. That's for sure. All right. That's it. Steeler Postgame Show. That does it for this week. We will be back on in about 8.5 hours. At least I will be with Mike White to talk high school football playoffs. And we'll have more here on Oneberg all week long. Make sure you stay logged on. Check out that Pomp commercial for sure. It was awesome. It was epic with Barry Bonds. And Brian, that'll do it for the postgame show. 26-18, Steelers victorious. They get to 6-2 at the bye week. We'll see you in 2 weeks, everybody. Have a great night.